What is going on, you guys? My name is Alex, aka Retro Rising, and welcome to Season 6 of the SPC. Uh, if you guys aren't familiar with the SPC, it is a Pokemon Draft League. And if you aren't familiar with Draft League, what that is it's a competitive format where we take turns picking a few Pokemon in order to build our team, and then we fight. But with that said, I think we got a killer team this season, and I think we have a good shot at making playoffs, if not winning the whole thing. So let's talk about it. By the way, just to let you guys know, our team is named Rising Academy, same name as the Discord. Ask around for it, you can probably find it. Anyways, uh, first Pokemon that I drafted this season is Goldango. Goldango is a fantastic Pokemon. Steel Ghost, giving it an immunity to poison types, gives an immunity to normal as well as fighting. So we can do pretty solid with that. He has a pretty good special attack. So he's a good defensive choice. He also can run like trick shenanigans. He has good as gold, so he's immune to any status shenanigans. Um, Overall, I'm excited to use Goldango. I haven't used it in competitive draft before, but I have used it. If you ever checked out my videos like Intro to Hyper Offense, I have used it on teams like that before. So I am familiar with how Goldango can run. Um, so it'll be nice to be a little bit more creative with him in a season like this. Uh, by the way, if you've watched Intro to Hyper Offense before, you know that this draft is basically like I took that video and made it into a draft league team. So this is an extremely offensive draft league team. Uh, with that said, let's talk about the next Pokemon on the team, and that is Ogerpon. Specifically, it's a terrestrializing grass form, Ogerpon. In this league, you get 2 Terra Pokemon. I let Ogerpon be one of my Terra options. Even though he can't change out of anything besides just the grass form, being able to terrestrialize and get that speed boost will be fantastic. It's like having a built-in choice scarf. Like, I love it. Granted, you only keep that speed boost while you switch in, but or the turn that you terrestrialize, and if you switch out, then you lose it. But whatever. Um, Ogerpon is great on the team mode. It gets utility like U-turn, which is something that we can greatly use. It gets leech seed, spikes, spiky shield, all that good stuff. It gets Ivy Cudgel, which is 100% accurate and 100 base power grass type move. He gets decent fighting coverage. He gets Rock Tomb for some rock coverage. Uh, Overall, I think Ogerpon is going to do pretty well on the team. Uh, I've used Ogerpon Hearthplane before, so I kind of have an idea of how Ogerpon likes to run. And I think I drafted a nice team that can work along with that, especially with him being one of my Terra options. Next Pokemon that I want to talk about this season is Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl was our third pick, and I drafted Grimmsnarl because looking at the team and what my plan for it is, I knew I needed a good support Pokemon. I knew I was going extremely offensive with everything else, so I needed one of my favorite support Pokemon in the game, that being Grimmsnarl. He can set up Light Screen, he can set up Reflect, uh, or even something like Thunder Wave support. He can run trick shenanigans. He's can just do so many different things with that prankster ability. On top of that, he has a decent attack stat. So if I wanted to run a more offensive set, he can definitely do that too. Grimmsnarl is a great dark type, being immune to opposing prankster Pokemon. He's also a fairy type, which is just always useful to have a strong fairy type around. Gets priority with Sucker Punch. Like, Grimmsnarl is an old favorite. Like, I'm really excited to use Grimmsnarl again. Uh, I think we'll do some good damage and probably catch a few people off guard with Grimmsnarl, and I definitely think his support will lead to a couple of wins. Next Pokemon that we should talk about is Arcanine. I drafted Cantonian Arcanine, which, if you watched my Who's Your Favorite Fire Type Pokemon video, you know he's my favorite Fire type. It's Intimidate, which is just a fantastic ability, especially to have in draft. Uh, Also gets Flash Fire, so the option of Fire type immunity, or Justified, if I'm worried about my opponent's Dark type Pokemon, to give him an attack boost. which was pretty nice, getting Justified to help work with Goldango because Arcanine could either run Flash Fire to take the fire hits, he can run Justified to take the dark hits and get an attack boost. I think that's pretty good support for the team so far. He gets access to priority and extreme speed. He gets a pretty decent move pool. A lot of fire type moves, of course, being a fire type, being able to go physical or special, but also it gets stuff like close combat. It gets Dragon Pulse. It gets Crunch. It gets Play Rough. Uh, Supporting options like Will-O-Wisp. It gets Morning Sun for healing. Arcanine overall, I think, will be a very, very good glue piece, being able to be offensive or defensive and doing what I need to make the team work. Uh, like I talked about before, the team is leaning heavily on the hyper offensive. So having an option for a piece to be a little bit more defensive will especially help out. The next Pokemon that we'll talk about today is our Terra option, second Terra option, which is Galvantula. Galvantula was a steal. I'm sorry, Galvantula was a steal. Whoever priced Galvantula at such low points, being only 3 points, who did that? Why did that? Why? He has 108 base speed, being able to Volt Switch or U-turn, and has access to Sticky Web, supporting the whole team. Why? Why? I understand having him on the lower end of points. That's fine. I get it. He ain't that strong. But really? Really? Anyways, like I said, I just went through all the reasons why I got him. Again, he's someone who can be offensive or supporting, which I greatly enjoy. He also gets Thunder Wave, which can greatly support the team. And being one of my Terra Pokemon, he gets a move of every type, technically, right? So that can be some great support. Or I can Terra Electric or Bug and just do massive damage. Terra Electric Thunder with Compound Eyes? Come on. That'll just erase some things off the face of the earth. Like that's just gonna be insane. I'm excited to use Galvantula. I drafted him recently in a league, but I don't think I used him well. I think this league I have better support for him. You know what I mean? Next Pokemon, right? That I want to talk about. Tentacruel. So, Tentacruel, very important on the team for a few reasons. First off, 100 base speed. Love it. That's a nice speed tier to hit. Second thing to talk about, water type. That's our Fire Water Grass Core with Ogerpon, Arcanine, and now Tentacruel. Third thing, poison type. So we get to soak up toxic spikes. Extremely important to have a poison type just for that. Fourth thing, rapid spin. Gotta need a rapid spin Pokemon. The only unfortunate thing about Tentacruel is I believe a lot of hazard removal is kind of put on him. But because the team honestly doesn't really care about hazards too much, there's a lot of resisting going on our squad. I think it'll be okay. But still, having Tentacruel there as a rapid spin user, fantastic. And of course, being water type, he also gets access to ice type moves. So he has good coverage there. I like Tentacruel. He'll do cool things. He gets toxic spikes shenanigans. He can set up and do cool things. A little bit more defensive, especially on the special side, being, let me just look on my side here, 120 base special defense. So that's also something that the team can use. With that said, we've just talked about a few support Pokemon back to back for me to call this team hyper offense. So let's actually show a guy who's only offense, and that's Ursaluna. We drafted regular form Ursaluna, which fantastic ground and normal type. So we get a lot of immunities, being immune to electric and being immune to ghost, which I love. Also, he hits a lot of things. Hits a lot of things very hard. What is that? 140 base attack with guts, or you can even run him with bulletproof. If I want to be more defensive, but most of the time with how you see this team structured, he's going to be guts, and he's just going to do ton of damage, right? Either with facade, headlong rush, close combat, earthquake, any of that stuff. Big damage. Looking forward to using Ursaluna. Overall, I think he's just going to be a good offensive Pokemon for burst damage. You know what I mean? Yes, he's a little bit slower, but when you look at how fast this team is, having someone who can counter Trick Room will be very nice. Next Pokemon that we're going to talk about is the last Pokemon for our Fairy Dragon Steel Core, and that's our Dragon type Komodo. Komodo is just great, right? Yes, he's quad weak to Fairy, but having Goldango and Arcanine on the team, I'm not too worried about Fairy. And then yeah, this guy can set up with Clangorous Soul or with Belly Drum. He gets a lot of coverage. A lot of pseudo legends, you'll see they have a ton of coverage. So he's just nice. He can be physical. He can be special. You can run, what is it, the Clangorous Soul plus Throat Spray to get the double special attack boost. You can do that. Or you can just run Belly Drum to max out attack. He gets regular bulk up if I want to run that. He also gets Dragon Dance. Komodo is just going to be awesome. Awesome. He gets bulletproof also and soundproof, so he can be defensive in that sense. He just has so many cool things that he can do, and I think Komodo will be very threatening for a lot of teams. Moving on, we are going to talk about someone, honestly, the Pokemon that I'm most excited to use this draft, and that is Deoxys Speed. I've never used Deoxys Speed before in draft. I'll admit that straight up. Never ever. A lot of these guys in this draft I've never used before in draft. Like Komodo, never been on a draft team with me. Ursaluna, never. Tentacruel, never. Goldango, never. The last two Pokemon on the team after this guy, never. Deoxys Speed, never used. But 180 base speed is something the team very needs. Overall, I think I should have done better with my speed tiers in this draft, but I think Deoxys Speed helps cover that a lot. Yes, he's another supportive Pokemon with access to Taunt and Stealth Rocks and Spikes, but also he can be extremely offensive with his move pool, getting access to, of course, Superpower and Psycho Boost and Ice Beam and other things. Those are just the ones that come to mind right off the top of my head. What is it? 95 attack and 95 special attack, so you can run physical or special if you decide to be a more offensive set. Or you can run more support with, again, like we mentioned with the hazards, or he can be another screens user like Grimmsnarl. He can also be throwing out Thunder Waves. He can also be using Trick. He can do 10,000 different things. Again, this is a Pokemon I'm probably going to use a little bit more supportive, but also I love that he can be offensive if I wanted to be. He's fast enough where I don't have to worry, really about opposing Scarfers that often, unless my opponent takes their fastest Pokemon and puts a Scarf on it, which, trust me, it's Draft League. They would do that, but that's besides the point. Again, Deoxys Speed, I'm just excited for it. Next Pokemon that we're going to talk about is, again, another Pokemon who I've used a lot. Not on Intro to Hyper Offense. I used him. What else did I use you on? Oh, anyways, it's Satitan. Satitan is a Pokemon I'm excited to use. 170 HP. So he's just fat. He's fat. Gets thick fat, gets sheer force, or slush rush if for some reason I set up hail or snow. It's snow in this game. Could do that. But also 113 attack, being that fat, getting access to Belly Drum, that's just insane. You can also just Bandit and go for Ice Shards. He gets decent coverage with Liquidation and High Horsepower and Heavy Slam. Like, this is a guy who will do a lot of damage. A lot of damage, something to prep for every single week. Because you have to expect, this thing will come in with priority Ice Shard. Am I going to set up a Belly Drum and then just click Ice Shard for the next 6 turns and sweep your team? I don't know. There's a chance, right? There's a chance. So Titan is, I think, going to be a great addition to the team. The only thing I don't like about him, which I will say, because I was taking a hot second and looking at his move pool, is yes, he has sheer force, but he doesn't have a lot of attacks I want to take full advantage of it. There's Icicle Crash and Liquidation that come to mind, but a lot of his other attacks like High Horsepower, Heavy Slam, Ice Shard, they don't really get boosted by it. I'll get creative with his moveset, see what I can do some weeks with him, but I've noticed that with him. Last Pokemon that we are going to talk about today is Honchkrow. Honchkrow is the last Pokemon I drafted, and I love Honchkrow, guys. I love Honchkrow. He has one of my favorite abilities with Moxie. He also gets Insomnia, which is cool, I guess. But really, like, I don't know if I'm going against like a Sleep Powder team or something. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think anyone drafted Sleep Powder. Oh wait, no, one person drafted Amoonguss. I have Honchkrow for Amoonguss. Anyways, yeah, a lot of the time we're gonna see a Moxie set with this guy. The only disappointing thing about him is the 71 base speed, but he does also get Sucker Punch to get a little bit of priority. And of course, he can always be Scarfed to get a little bit of a speed boost and try to pick off some things. Honchkrow, I like having Moxie and being like getting priority there because he can be my cleanup crew. You know, he's a crow. Crows do some of the cleanup, right? I'm not thinking of the wrong bird. I think crows do it in nature. So he's going to be a nice cleanup crew to help pick off what's been weakened by the rest of the team, swooping in and just knocking things out. And of course, getting stronger with each kill because of Moxie. Also, super important about Honchkrow, he gets U-turn. So if you look at the team that I drafted here, because this is the last guy on the team, you look at the team I drafted, there is not a lot of pivot potential going on here. You have Ogerpon with U-turn. Grimmsnarl gets Parting Shot. Galvantula gets Volt Switch. Tentacruel gets Flip Turn. Honchkrow gets U-turn. I think that's it. That's only what, 5 Pokemon on the team? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5. Maybe. I think it's more than I thought. I thought it was a bigger weakness than that. But yeah. No, I think it'll be all right. Anyways, yeah, this is the team. So biggest weaknesses I'll talk about the team. I kind of talked about them as we were going with the video, and that is speed tiers. I think it's going to be one of the biggest things. If I have to go against someone who has a threat between 180 and 110, that gets a little bit annoying to prep for. Because it's just awkward. Like I can tell you, like looking at my week 1 match, I go against someone with a Meowscarada with 123 base speed, and I'm just staring at that like, oh, that's gonna be awkward for team building. But I think it'll be all right. But overall, yeah, we have, I think, good priority support going on with the team. I think we have great just support in general going on. I think honestly our weakest points are like hazard removal. But in a league like this where we're not limited to one of each item and I can just run 6 heavy duty boots as I wanted, I think it'll be all right. I think we drafted every type but rock, so we have some great offensive support as well. I don't know. I think it'll be a great team. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I think that'll be end for this video. If you have any questions about Draft League or the team, let me know in the comments down below. Week 1, we are fighting Nico Ryan. I'm going to have his the link to his video in the description of the week 1 match, so you can check out his channel, show him some love, and I'll make sure to do that for everyone's videos this season, or at least if their video isn't up by the time I post, then at least link their channel. Yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. All videos are going to be posted on Fridays for this league, so I hope to see you guys on Friday. Peace.